Man, I'm proud to be joined tonight, and this is just to come out of the gate by 40 guys who made the trip from Florence, Alabama. My brothers, some are active, some are alums, who are here tonight. And one thing I've learned in life is you never get anywhere on your own. And these guys have certainly helped me get so many places, and for that I'm very grateful. But I've seen these guys do some amazing things, and throughout college they have made it their mission to obviously make my life miserable in some ways, to make jokes and to rag me about some things. So I dug out a few of the good anecdotes that we had from growing up in college at UNA. I want to recognize some of these fine men for some of the things they've accomplished. One of them, and they're all here tonight, so you can get the follow-up story from them after. One of them once sold rocks for a summer job. One of them, this is one of my favorites, one morning in class pulled a toaster oven out of his backpack, plugged it into an electrical outlet at his desk, and then proceeded to cook toast in the middle of class. Not one, but two of them kissed teachers in high school. I'm not making that up. One brother, this is good, one time while on a date, got his car stuck in the mud, and then asked his date to get out and push. I couldn't make this up. I promise it's true, while he punched the gas. You think I'm kidding. One of them, this is very heroic. One time he pulled a full-grown, decomposing possum out of the air vent at the ATO house. That was a good one. We're proud of him for that. And finally, one brother, a particularly accident-prone brother, as a summertime lifeguard, heroically dove off the top of his stand to save a drowning swimmer, except he forgot that he was still tethered to the top of the stand. I have a degree in English, or as my good friend Joseph Carroll calls it, a worthless degree in words. But still, even with that degree, I still find it very difficult to express myself tonight. At the center of this evening really is the enterprise of fraternity. Probably the best description of fraternity I've come across came from my good friend and brother, Kent Taylor. He said, "Brett, fraternity is a lot like a treehouse." And I thought about that a lot. And he's right. Like a treehouse, a fraternity is an organization composed of a male membership who gathers at one central location, a house of some sort, under the auspices of some host, a university, or tree. It is a stress-free, homework-free, parent-free kingdom just out of touch from mundane reality. We handpick future members. Some guys we let in, others we keep out. We have secret meetings and passwords. We work a little, argue a little, but mostly just play. After a while, we sort of outgrow the tree and the treehouse. We move on and into the harrowing real world. But as life gets more complex, we fondly remember simpler days as a boy in a treehouse. Alpha Tau Omega was a treehouse I had no intention of climbing into as a freshman at the University of North Alabama in the fall of 2000. On top of the stresses of first-year college life, my dad was at home in the final stages of a terminal illness known as Lou Gehrig's disease. So in between classes and a social life, I was at home helping my mom care for him. I was too busy and too independent for a fraternity. However, as life tends to do, I found myself on a path I never thought I'd be on. In September, I pledged the newly formed Theta Eta chapter of Alpha Tau Omega. I joined ATO for three reasons: its Christian background, the character of the brothers, and the fact that it was a substance-free chapter house. I enjoyed my pledge semester, and on December 16th, 2000, I was proudly initiated into Alpha Tau Omega. 15 days later, my father died. It was a very grim time, a very dark time, but God pulled me out of that cold black moat, as he did my entire family. He pulled me out, dried me off, and gave me a clean T-shirt. And he taught me, again, where to look during life's dark hours. Not around, certainly not within, but up to him. And as I looked up to the God of the vast heavens, I heard him whisper, "Now look a little lower." And my eyes came down through the atmosphere, through the clouds, and then into the trees. And when I needed it the most, there was the treehouse with 3 big letters painted on it. There were my friends, there were my brothers who pulled me back up and gave me a hug and reminded me that life would go on. So when I got back on my feet, I charged into fraternity life full throttle. I had heard a quote by a great Christian missionary to Ecuador named Jim Elliot. He said, and I've never forgotten it, "Wherever you are, be all there." So I decided to be all there with an ATO. A very wise, now balding, older brother once told me early on, he said, "Brett, you will get from the fraternity as much as you put in." and he was very right. So as a freshman, I resolved before God and before myself that I would make a difference. So I began simply by trying to love people. It was tough at first because naturally I'm a very selfish person. I'm really not that good at it. But God helped me out, and he was awesome in that way. Next, I began to look at ways to make the chapter better. I let myself dream about new projects and programs that we could implement and get excited about. For every one idea I initiated, there were another 20 that never made it out of the nursery of my imagination. And that was okay because I learned that to act on a little is better than to just dream about a lot. As I worked, I was fueled by the other guys in the chapter doing the exact same thing. They had brilliant ideas. They solved tricky chapter problems. They worked long hours for the cause of excellence. And this confluence of energy and innovation generated a powerful current of momentum. And the chapter flourished. A very good chapter was becoming great. Somewhere in the flow, I received the great honor of being elected chapter president. At times, I led well, moving the group towards higher goals and achievements. However, there were many times when I was on a solo mission, arrogantly and selfishly chasing after my own agenda without the help of my team. This I regret. It was one of the many mistakes I made along the way, and it's one of the less than honorable credentials on the other side of my resume. This list includes not spending enough time with my family, playing chapter politics, valuing tasks over people, promoting myself and my own agenda, and being self-righteous. They don't give awards for these things, thankfully. Without having been surrounded by a bunch of grace-filled people who knew my faults and loved me anyway, I never could have achieved anything in college. And come to think of it, I can't really think of a single thing that I have received, tangible or intangible, that wasn't given to me. Without the help of some larger-than-life people, I would never be receiving this great honor tonight. First, to the National Staff, Board of Directors, and ATO Foundation, I'd ask you people to please stand. If I call you up, you can stand now. There we go. Come on. There we go. Awesome. Serving on the board for 2 years gave me a glimpse of the overwhelming complexity of leading a 6,000-kid treehouse. And I could not be more impressed with the work that you do and the people that you are. You have corporate professionalism and fraternal heart in perfect balance. You have patiently invested in my life, and my heart bleeds gratitude. Thank you. To my loving family, I am blessed to have 2 great, successful brothers who have 2 beautiful wives, who have 2 cute babies that are due in about a month. Pretty excited about that. My oldest brother, Brady, his wife, Charity, and their unborn son, Landon, are not here tonight. But I am joined with my other brother, the middle of us 3, Brian, his beautiful wife, Stephanie, and their baby, Lily Kate, who we'll be seeing soon. This is a great family, and they truly make me proud to be a Trapp, and I love both of you very much. I'm also joined tonight by a woman who I'm proud to say that just yesterday was confused with being my girlfriend. This beauty that you see before you is my mother, Ms. Laura Trapp. Half of what's good about me I either inherited or learned from her. In the whirlwind of college, she has been my supporting personnel. Mom, I have emotions, but not the words to describe how thankful I am for you. There were times when I was out playing fraternity when I should have been at home with you. Thanks for understanding and for letting me live a normal life in the aftermath of very abnormally painful circumstances. I love you with all my heart. Next, to the gentlemen, active brothers, and alumni of the Theta Eta chapter of Alpha Tau Omega at the University of North Alabama, what great times you have given me. I don't know that I'll ever again have the chance to work with a group of fun, sincere, hardworking, innovative people. It was a pleasure laboring with you to make our chapter great. Many times I felt that if I led us into hell, you would have followed me there with a bounce in your step. You quietly let me lead when many of you were qualified to lead yourselves. When I wept, you cried with me, and when I rejoiced, you cheered along. What I lost in my father, I found in you. In you, I've seen the very heartbeat of brotherhood, and without your encouragement, I'm not standing here tonight. Thank you, 1,000 times, thank you. Thank you. And finally, to my precious father, Dr. Bill Trapp, a man of untouchable integrity who had the heart of a lion and the hands of a servant. As a pastor for 27 years, he impacted thousands of people. He should be here tonight, sitting beside my mother, and I'm honored to be sitting in his seat. But God, in his loving and perfect plan, saw fit to take him. From a few men, you may learn to live. Rarely in life will you meet one that teaches you to die. This man taught me to do both with unfathomable grace and character. And to his memory, I dedicate this honor. There are 3 brief challenges I leave you with tonight. First, be a learner. I made a simple yet greatly impacting choice in college that I would be a learner. I will learn from my brothers. I will learn from my parents. I will learn from the new pledges in the fraternity. I will learn from the 16-year-old girl with a nose ring serving me food at McDonald's. I will listen to people, and I will ask questions. Our generation is plagued with know-it-alls. Where the ancients eagerly sought to learn, we seek to teach. So spit out the poison of your own ego and learn to learn and love to learn. In doing so, you'll be vaulted beyond the vast majority of your peers who only want to talk about what they believe and what they know. Next, be great. But don't do it for you. Do it for a cause greater than yourself. And if you're going to be great, you're going to have to start living greatly. You will have to work hard. You must have a healthy intolerance for inaction. You must quit acting like everyone else. You must beg for criticism. If you aspire to be great, know that it will be messy. It will be hard. It will be stressful. It will be painful, and at times it will be lonely. Some days you'll hate your life and you'll want to jab a steak knife into your eye. Greatness is not for the faint of heart. It is not for weak-willed men who dabble in maybes, mights, and sort-ofs. Greatness is costly. This is the reason many come to the toll booth of greatness, see the cost, and turn back onto the crowded road of mediocrity. Lastly, be a warrior. And we all know the defining characteristic of a good warrior is his courage. Courage is merely doing what you should do, even when you don't feel like it. Being a warrior with an ATO often requires doing what is right, even when every ounce of your being wants to compromise. I've had many wonderfully memorable ATO experiences, but I've also had my share of some very hard circumstances which required courage. I've had to call pledges to tell them they were no longer a part of the fraternity. Twice I had to appear before other fraternities on campus to apologize for the actions of myself or the guys in my chapter. I had to ban an alum from the house. On 5 separate occasions, I've sat in the emergency room with ailing brothers. I've tangled with drunks, angry alums, and rude composite photographers. The latter being the worst of that group. I had to put one of my closest friends on chapter suspension. He was going to be here tonight, but he had other priorities, unfortunately. And unfortunately, I had to vote to terminate a brother's membership. These are the things that, as writer Anne Lamott says, will make you want to go drink warm gin from the cat's bowl. Doing these things is difficult, but whoever said it would be easy? If fraternity life is always easy for you, you aren't doing something right, because anything worthwhile will require much of you. And while you are being a learner, being great, and being a warrior, remember to keep it all in perspective. By some standards, I have achieved much in college. I have drawers full of shiny accolades, certificates, plaques, pins, trophies, medals, gavels, and even a cool scepter. And let me tell you, my drawers think I'm great. And I know that in the long haul, none of the gold-painted plastic awards will really matter, and glowing resumes printed on linen paper will go through the shredder. What will matter are the lessons I learned in earning them and the people who helped me along the way. And in closing, the greatest challenge facing the fraternal world is not alcohol. It is not hazing, rising insurance costs, or negative stereotype. The greatest challenge is that of brotherhood. Brotherhood is that great invisible glue that holds this whole enterprise together. It's what keeps us coming back to chapter meetings and service events. It's what makes us proud to sport that T-shirt with 3 Greek letters. But I fear we have reduced brotherhood to great parties and cigar smoking on the front porch. This is not brotherhood. This is camaraderie. And lots of groups have camaraderie. Bird-watching groups, gangs, online video gamers, and Girl Scouts. Camaraderie is great, but it is only one component of brotherhood. Brotherhood is a whole lot bigger. I fear that at some point along the 150-year fraternal timeline, we distorted brotherhood. Like a girl with a Barbie doll, we redressed it to our own liking. We stripped brotherhood of all its nobler traits: accountability, self-sacrifice, forgiveness, charity. And we slapped a T-shirt on it with some stupid saying about how great our chapter is. Then we shoved a bottle in its hand. Then we taught brotherhood to pick up girls, look down on independence, and hurt pledges. And then all of a sudden its face turned green, 2 metal bolts shot out of its neck, lightning struck, and the whole fraternal world howled. It's alive. We were so proud of our creation. And in the last quarter of the 20th century, our Franken brother creation got up off the table, went out into the world, and did a whole lot of damage. People got hurt, lawsuits were filed, and brothers died. So the call tonight is very simple. Let us be brothers. Let us consider one another better than ourselves. Let us sharpen one another as iron sharpens iron. Let us have the courage to admonish and rebuke one another when needed. Let us have the humility to ask for forgiveness when a wrong has been committed. Let us remember the great words of our creed, a guiding light in dark times. Let us represent Alpha Tau Omega as it should be represented, with pride, integrity, and honor. Again, let the words of the creed thunder across the canyons of our hearts. Let the fiery ideals of 3 teenage war vets brand our minds. And let the great symbol of sacrificial love, the tall cross, move our hands to serve fellow man. This is brotherhood, and this is fraternity. The night before I accepted my bid in ATO, I gave my fraternal career to God and asked Him to give me the strength to live it well. And that's where ATO began for me, and that is where I want it to end tonight, at the cross of Christ, the only hope for a dying race of men. And who better to deliver those words than the great craftsman of Alpha Tau Omega, Cadet Otis Allen Glazebrook. And I leave you with his words he spoke as a very wise 80-year-old man to brothers of the 1925 Congress. I am not here as a preacher, quote, nor do I ask to be accepted as a philosopher, but I am here as an older brother to beg you that you frame your lives upon a foundation more secure than sand. There is a rock that affords a safe anchorage. He is the rock of ages. Gentlemen, enjoy the treehouse.